AI, wokeism, succession, creativity, China.
Stop right there. I'm in.
Shut up.
We're going to try to touch all of them.
If you don't mind, this should be a 5-minute interview. I got to get back to work.
Oh, wait, you serious?
A year ago, you're sitting around your house. You think you're about to get a phone call from Susan Arnold.
I'm a psychic phenomenon. Watch this. I don't know who you are, but watch this.
And you think that call might be asking you back.
Coincidence? I think not.
And you say to Willa Bay, your wife, what?
I am impotent, and I like it.
I said to Willow, I'm getting this call. It's possible that I could get asked back. She immediately said,
honey, that's not a good idea.
And interesting, until maybe a day or two before, first of all, I was not seeking to return to Disney at all.
That's not true. That's a lie.
And until a day or two before, I was not anticipating I ever would.
Lies. Oh, lies!
She thought I had to say yes. And I asked, why? And she quickly reminded me what I already knew.
Nothing!
She said, you ran the company for over 15 years. You've been at the company, or you were at the company. You've been at the company, or you were at the company.
What did he say?
You've been at the company, or you were at the company.
Generally, you're going to have to choose between past tense and present tense.
What you saw here could be described as a little slip of the tongue, but in more psychological, more notably Freudian terms, it's called a Freudian slip.
Iger never really left. I believe that Bob Iger was always behind the scenes running this thing anyway.
You never knew it, but I was always there.
If the board wants you back, because they obviously don't feel they have an alternative, at least not at that moment.
Stretching the truth.
Then you owe it to them to say yes.
You said that you didn't want to come back, but, there's been a lot of reporting that you never really wanted to leave. And even people now say, well, is he really going to leave in 2 years from now again?
No way.
That you were frustrated. You were frustrated with Bob Chapek.
That reporting is completely inaccurate. Completely inaccurate.
Thou protest too much?
Completely. I had been CEO for about 15 years. There were plenty of things in the world that I was interested in, that I either wanted to do or wanted to learn more about. I had accomplished so much during my former tenure, including opening the Disneyland in Shanghai and going into the streaming business very successfully.
But it's fair to say you were frustrated. You were watching this company.
And frustrated about what?
Meaning from the outside. On the outside. You're now out.
You were asking me about whether you
ever wanted to leave.
Just answer the question.
The answer is I did. The answer is I did, which is why I left.
Okay, but now you're on the outside.
Right.
And you're watching.
Busy doing other things.
Doing other things, but Bob Chapek's in that role.
Yes.
Bob Chapek was just a fall guy. That's it.
He was set up to fail right from the beginning.
And you were thinking what?
This guy's on. Yeah, I can't stop him, dude. No fucking way. I can't compete!
I really worked hard at distancing myself from it because, one, I couldn't do anything about it. In a way, it wasn't my business.
You're goddamn right.
It was his business to run.
He was still executive chairman of the board, so he was still Bob Chapek's boss.
And I was not happy with what I was seeing.
Then don't watch.
Yeah, Iger's in a very interesting position here because he's doing a little bit of revisionist history. I mean, a lot of these things he's talking about problems from his predecessor, Bob Chapek, these are strategies that Iger himself implemented. And as far back as 2020...
As he takes over, something happens that Disney did not anticipate, at least Iger did not anticipate, and that is that Chapek is phenomenally successful.
Hooray!
It hurts when something that you've put your heart and soul into and that you care about so much is going through a difficult time.
Okay, so let's then talk about succession. To the degree you think that Bob Chapek was a mistake.
Now it's time to erase that mistake.
And I assume you imagine it's maybe one of your biggest.
Well, first of all, I'm not the only one that may have considered it a mistake.
These are spirit fingers.
The board obviously had its issues with Bob.
Bob Iger had creative control over movies and television.
With Iger running the content side, we have never seen such a rapid decline in the Walt Disney Company than we have with Bob Iger being left to his own devices.
You are next.
I've tried hard to conduct my own post-mortem.
What does that mean? Huh? Here, I don't even know what the hell that means.
Just so that we as a company don't do it again. What did we do wrong? And we've discovered certain things that perhaps we could have done better.
什么都 means everything.
But there were also a lot of unknowables, and I don't want to get into any of those.
But is there a lesson for you?
Yes.
In terms of who you're supposed to listen to?
Yeah.
It was interesting. When the vice president was talking about there's no.
Just answer the question.
No job that really trains you for this job.
That's a terrific story.
In many respects, that's true at Disney too. It's a large, very complex company that's in the public eye all the time.
What did he say? What did he say? Ba-da-beep, ba-da-bap, ba-da-boop, ba-da-beep.
There's interest from just about every sector of society.
You don't say.
And it takes a certain type to be able to not only compartmentalize when it comes to managing issues and problems, but I think it takes a certain constitution, a tremendous amount of energy, a tremendous amount of patience, the ability to communicate on multiple subjects, sometimes back to back to back to back. And I think that when we make the decision again and the succession,
what will be different this time?
The succession process at Disney, first of all, is robust right now. It didn't.
But was it not robust the first time?
Gotcha, bitch.
It was. We're aggressively pursuing succession. There's no more detail that I want to give.
Is that all you got, old man?
You put out a lot of things on the table. You said, we're thinking about selling ABC in the linear channels. We're thinking about finding a partner for ESPN. We're in the midst of trying to figure out with Hulu. You've now resolved that. You put everything out there. What was your thinking in terms of just take us inside the thinking of saying that all aloud? A lot of CEOs try to wait until they have each deal done.
I've spent a year since I came back fixing a lot of problems that the company has had.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
And dealing with a lot of challenges, some that were brought on by decisions that were made by my predecessor.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Some that are just basically the result of a tremendous amount of disruption in the world and in our business. Sometimes when I'm looking for kind of a reaction to my own thought process, I like to test that process in public.
Let's get dressed. Today we're looking at the most iconic friend group, Disney's Mickey and Friends. And the character most
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Particularly in ways that I might be able to actually get a reaction from in the investment community.
That's not right. How can the price be going down?
Dad. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stars?
God help us.
Let me ask you about Pixar and Marvel and so many of these other things. Very recently, as you've seen, because you get the box office numbers every weekend, a number of these films have not performed. They have not performed the way they used to. People question the creative magic at Disney. You can look at the Marvels. I'm curious why you think that disappointed. You could look at Wish, Indiana Jones. What do you think? What's happened?
Well, I think you have to look at it a couple of ways. First of all, I think the movie business is changing.
Hello. Now, why would you say something like that?
Well, one of the year's most highly anticipated films premiered just hours ago.
Fox 35's Holly Bristow is live tonight, and Holly, Spider-Man No Way Home is already shattering box office records.
Spider-Man No Way Home made an explosive debut in theaters this weekend, shattering box office records, bringing in its stunning $253 million here in the U.S.
Return to the blockbuster that's so good, Michael says he's going to see it again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. The long-awaited Top Gun sequel taking in a Memorial Day weekend record
record, $156 million. Janae Norman is here right now with more on this. So, Janae, it also turns out this is the biggest opening weekend of Tom Cruise's career. That's crazy.
The action-packed sequel just flew past one Hollywood record. Its ticket sales have officially overtaken James Cameron's Titanic, earning a whopping $662 million. This milestone makes Maverick's latest chapter the 7th biggest movie at the domestic box office of all time, proving audiences really do have a need for speed as it continues a successful run on screens across the country for an 11th week.
It's a trip down memory lane for gamers. The Super Mario Brothers movie smashing box office records in its opening weekend. The flick raked in more than $500 million globally on its debut, but it's also bringing in big bucks for the tech giant behind the game, Nintendo.
I think we have conditioned the audience to expect that these films will be on streaming platforms relatively quickly.
Are you serious right now, bro? Like, are you serious right now?
And a bargain when you think about it. Streaming Disney Plus you can get for $7 a month. That's a lot cheaper than taking your whole family to a film.
Everything but the truth. What's the truth, damn it?
Specifically about those films, some of those films.
Finally!
They were not as good. They were not as high in quality.
No shit.
As some of their predecessors, our films, and as they should have been, particularly in this environment.
Why do you think that was?
Thank you for holding. Someone will be with you as soon as possible.
Well, The Marvels was shot during COVID. There wasn't as much supervision on the set, so to speak, where we have executives there really looking over what's being done day after day after day. And that was a result of, mostly of COVID, but at the same time, we increased our output tremendously to feed the streaming platforms. Too much, by the way.
Mistake.
Definite mistake. You know, quality needs attention to deliver quality. It doesn't happen by accident. And quantity, in our case, diluted quality. And Marvel suffered greatly from that. So there are different reasons, and I'm the first. I've been very public about it, saying, and I would say right now my number one priority is to help the studio turn around creatively.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness? Do you think you do?
No more drugs for that man.
A couple of the films you mentioned, by the way, which is interesting about kind of the New World Order, did okay at the box office. Elemental's a good example, about $500 million.
Franchises and the value of IP. I don't think actually most people have ever read this letter, so I'm going to read it aloud. By Walt Disney, the man himself. He said, many people have asked, why don't you make another Mary Poppins? Well, by nature, I'm a born experimenter. To this day, I don't believe in sequels.
Disney is planning, I'm told, a new musical film featuring Mary Poppins, the idea of...
Yes, but without the Sherman Brothers and without Walt himself, I don't. I wish them luck, but I'm always worried about sequels.
During Disney's first quarter earnings call, CEO Bob Iger revealed that not only will we be seeing a Frozen 3 in the future, but we're also going to see Toy Story 5 and Zootopia 2.
Yeah, don't you see the danger?
No!
We've got to have money.
I can't follow popular cycles. I have to move on to new things. There are many new worlds to conquer. Right now, we're not thinking about making another Mary Poppins. We never will.
They talk to you at all?
No, I said Bert's dead. He can't be in the movie.
I'll tell you the problem. You read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility.
Perhaps there'll be other ventures with equal critical and financial success, but we know we cannot hit a home run with the bases loaded every time we go to the plate.
You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling.
We also know the only way we can even get to first base is by constantly going to bat and continuing to swing.
We're so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
What would Walt think now?
I think he's turning in his grave. I think he's not happy.
He says Disney has a major content problem. Almost their entire upcoming slate is unwatchable. They are the world's biggest example of go woke, go broke, LOL.
You have to wonder, what would Walt Disney think of the company that is his namesake today?
I'm telling you what.
I mean, I think Walt Disney's turning in his grave faster than Grobet.
I think Elon is spot on. Walt's definitely turning over in his grave. If he could come
and rise from the grave and see what his company has become and all this woke garbage crap that they're putting out there and getting away from, just normal families and family content, he'd go in there and fire everybody.
I think I don't want to apologize for making sequels. Some of them have done extraordinarily well.
Indiana Jones and the blasé box office. Why Dial of Destiny, at $60 million opening, isn't setting records for the franchise finale.
And they've been good films, too. I think there has to be a reason to make them.
I figure we strike while the iron's hot and make a fifth movie. And by the iron being hot, you mean Harrison Ford is still alive. Gotcha.
But it just has to have a reason. You have to have a reason to make it beyond commerce.
It's got to be organic. It's got to make sense.
The word of mouth for this movie is not, oh, you got to go see it. It's, wow, this didn't need to be made.
You have to have a good story.
That final act is so depressingly preposterous.
This is deeply goofy stuff.
It's filmmaking without personality, making a weak attempt to carry Spielberg's torch and replicate the wonder he instilled into the previous films.
And Indiana Jones is basically just a worthless, washed-up old guy who doesn't really get any good moments throughout the film.
Hey! Often the story doesn't hold up to, is not as strong as the original story. That could be a problem.
Indy in this movie is an old miserable drunk.
The cranky old man in his boxers holding a bat telling someone to turn the music down.
Glad I got to see another one of my favorite characters destroyed in front of my very eyes by Disney.
We need to do this.
Me too.
There has to be an artistic reason to make it.
This was part of the Steven Spielberg original vision, and that when James Mangold came in, all of this was jettisoned, and they went with the Phoebe Waller-Bridge idea instead. That's $1 billion mistake. It has to be.
This is not how I want my hero's last big journey to go.
This is not how you do an Indiana Jones movie.
I came out of this movie, meh.
How did you end up like this?
Flaming, resourceful, daring, beautiful, self-sufficient!
Polio, smallpox, typhoid, malaria.
We say don't waste your time or your money on this one, and if you're a big fan of the series, we understand if you want to pretend this one didn't happen.
Do you think then you can make originals, or do you think that the franchise game is still the only game that's going to work?
Well, I think it has to be a blend. It has to be a blend. You can't just resort to everything that you've made, although I will say that the risk is sometimes less when you start with a sequel because it is some known value. We're making one of Toy Story, for instance.
No!
How about Nelson Peltz?
By the way,
what does that mean? Why did you say that name?
By the way, well, as it relates to sports?
Well, as it relates to putting all of these businesses effectively either up for sale or saying, look, we're thinking about everything, so that when Nelson Peltz...
Why did you say that name?
And Ike Perlmutter...
We haven't put any of them up for sale.
But I think one of the things you've said is we're looking at an option for getting a minority investment here. We might be willing to sell the linear channels here. We might be... How much of this, when you went public with that, did you know that Nelson Peltz...
Don't say that.
Was coming?
I knew that he was potentially interested in requesting a board seat again. But what I said in that interview in July, he was not on my mind at all.
I smell bullshit.
There was nothing.
He's now in your mind.
There was nothing about what I said then that was in any way related to whether he was going to return as an activist or not.
He has now partnered with Ike Perlmutter, who used to work with you. You bought Marvel from him.
I knew it.
What do you make of that? Do you think this is personal? Do you think that this is... What is this?
It's not personal. It's strictly business.
This is not a headline that I'm going to create right now.
Running any other way is just plain chicken shit.
Chicken shit?
Fine. We have to obviously contend with them in some form, but don't force me to take my eye off the ball and lose focus in terms of managing the company.
If they get on the board, does that affect you?
You're fired!
figure out, do you just let somebody on the board because maybe that shuts them up? Or if you let them on the board, it infects the whole thing? What do you think?
Here's what I think. The Disney board, if you look into a person, is a collection of very talented, very experienced people that know a lot about business and the world, that bring to our boardroom a level of expertise and an input and an ability to basically either challenge me on some of my thinking and my decisions, or support me, or actually help me execute when possible and give me advice. And there's a qualification level that is required to sit on the Disney board, and the board will make not me.
Lying son of a bitch.
The board makes decisions about who's qualified and who isn't qualified to be on the board.
This is such a crock of shit.
And if Nelson officially requests a board seat, I'm sure the board will go through a process to determine whether he should have a role on the board or not.
No. Wait.
Our primary objective in creating content as a company is to entertain. Whether it's sports, whether it's Disney, whether it's Marvel, make things that entertain people.
Let's wind the clocks back.
My comment is it wise for the company to take political positions that satisfy a very small portion of the people when our primary mission is entertainment?
He circled back and threw him off.
Okay, well, Raymond, first of all, I respect your position on this.
Bullshit.
And I would like to address that. Look, first of all, as the CEO of the company, I think my job is to strive to do what I think is best for our business, and that includes doing what's best for our cast members or our employees. I strongly feel that we alone have to determine whether, when, or how to weigh in on an issue, whether it's private or public. Of course, with the standard that when we take a position on those matters, there's a true reason why we have.
And I thought my jokes were bad.
And in almost all cases, it has to be because it directly affects our business or our people. And our country, I think, is better off for that. And this was evident during the civil rights era, as I recall as a child, when a lot of companies weighed in.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
He's now equating teaching 4-year-olds about bedroom issues with the civil rights.
It was certainly true during World War II.
He just did.
Stood in silence.
He's comparing teaching 4-year-olds bedroom issues with World War II.
Makes no sense.
Carry the stain of indifference. So as long as I'm in the job, I'm going to continue to be guided by a sense of
the stain of indifference for 4-year-olds getting education on drag queens?
Weigh in because the issue
He's gone off the rails. He's off the rails.
People that work for us.
He has.
Thank you. I think what had happened over a period of time, it was building and building, and maybe I think it reached a peak of some sort while I was gone.
I've got to stop this. Sorry.
Is that creators lost sight of what their number one objective needed to be. I strongly feel that we alone have to determine whether, when, or how to weigh in on an issue, whether it's private or public. Often when we entertain, and we've entertained as a company over the 100 years we've been in business, we have entertained.
Excuse me, which of these products would you recommend?
With values.
Well, these are the tampons I usually use.
Thank you.
And having a positive impact on the world.
I prefer pads. They're more comfortable for me.
Thank you.
I always get the ones with wings.
In many different ways. I'd use Black Panther as a great example of that.
You would.
Just in terms of fostering acceptance, or the movie Coco, which Pixar did about the Day of the Dead. I like being able to do that. Entertain.
Get unscented and bleach free if you can.
Thank you.
And if you can infuse it with positive messages.
Yo, my daughter loves these.
Thank you.
Have a good impact on the world.
These might be easier if it's her first period.
Fantastic. But that should not be the objective.
Oh, my gay dad is gay for gays.
When I came back, what I've really tried to do is to return to our roots. Which is, remember, we have to entertain first.
This is great. Old gay men are adorable.
It's not about messages.
Your father wasted his whole life being married to your mother and having you. We've got to find him a boyfriend before it's too late.
If you can do, again, if your story can have a positive impact, so there's that.
Get out! Just admit who you are and you can find new love.
And I've worked hard since I've been back.
Stop it.
get some help. And reminding the creative community, who are our partners, in case our employees, that that's the objective.
Black Girl Magic!
Proud Family, created by Disney, is essentially basically coming out and trying to turn people into social justice warriors through watching what would have been a very wholesome, beautiful, diverse show, if we really want to go there.
And I don't really want to tolerate the opposite. When it comes time to taking positions, I have tried really hard to apply a standard.
Oh my gosh!
That is relevant to it asks, is this relevant to the company?
It's just like Minnie. I'm thinking of layering a fun collar.
To our people,
Oh, let's start with a little Disney depravity. Here is Minnie Mouse twerking in front of children.
Our people, to our company,
Put a ticket in, make a name and gay!
to our shareholders. That's a very important test. You have failed. We have over 200,000 employees. We rely on a workforce that is talented, motivated, interested in working for our company.
So my name's Nick. I'm one of Fairy Godmother's apprentices. I'm here to shop you around and make all your selections for the day.
What was that?
I don't know. Interested in working for our company. The more diverse it is, the better off we are.
This person doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
What is your problem with Disney?
Well, right now, everything. I thought, as a parent, I had kids that I would be able to put in front of the television watching a Disney movie while I was doing some work or while I was doing something else. And I thought, they're perfectly safe with Disney movies. Come to find out, they're not safe.
What is your problem with Disney?
The grooming, honestly, the task force, the unnecessary wokeness.
Does a company have a right to free speech?
Do you think that sexual content and gender content should be not taught to children?
Absolutely not. I was a sex crimes detective at Anaheim Police Department, and many of the things that I see Disney doing or, what's happening in our schools, we would have arrested somebody for doing that. It's a criminal offense to show them pornography. Disneyland has said in the videos we've seen released from the corporate office that what they're going to do in the movies, showing them things that we have not okayed as parents. But again, the very things that they're doing are things that we normally would have arrested somebody for.
Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda, and so I feel like I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background I was just wherever I could just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of it. But I just was like,
you stopped advertising on X.
We did.
Tell us about that decision.
I have a lot of respect for Elon and what he's accomplished.
You lie! No, it's true!
Not just, one business, but a few businesses.
Hurry up, asshole!
We just felt that the association with that position and Elon Musk and X was not necessarily a positive one for us.
Do you even hear yourself?
And we decided we would pull our advertising.
Really?
Disney is facing backlash for its live-action remake of Mulan. In the credits of the film, Disney thanks controversial government agencies in China's Xinjiang province. That's where reportedly more than 1 million Muslims are being held in concentration camps. As Isaac Stone Fish writes in the Washington Post, it's, quote, the site of one of the world's worst human rights abuses happening today.
Was not necessarily a positive one for us.
Disney has been implicated in over a dozen potential crimes in a bombshell audit released in the state of Florida to the Florida governor and by the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, which is a successor to the Reedy Creek Improvement District. This is, of course, related to the decades of Disney corruption controlling RCID and the dirty dozen crimes that they are going to be investigated for and potentially held responsible for.
Was not necessarily a positive one for us.
Actors strike. How is that going to impact things, and what are your expectations there?
We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being realistic?
No, they're not.
I think that when Bob Iger talks about what a shame it is, he needs to remember that in 1980, CEOs like him made 30 times what their lowest worker was making. Now Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is. And I think that's a shame, Bob. And maybe you should take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, why is that? And not only why is that, is it okay? Is it morally okay? Is it ethically okay that you make that much more than your lowest worker? And if so, why? Why is that okay? If your response is that that's just the way business is done now, that's just the way corporations work now, well, that sucks, and that makes you a person if that's your answer. So you should come up with a better answer than that.
Was not necessarily a positive one for us.
Everyone's trying to explain why attendance at Disney's theme parks dropped so sharply this year, and of course over the July 4th holiday period in particular, way down. The Wall Street Journal says, quote, Disney World hasn't felt this empty in years.
Was not necessarily a positive one for us.
Disney employs more than 200,000 people worldwide, the majority of them women. But a new lawsuit filed in California alleges Disney's policies, practices, and procedures result in unequal pay for women. The suit alleges one plaintiff, a movie studio financial analyst, was shortchanged nearly $50,000 a year compared to her male counterparts.
Was not necessarily a positive one for us, and we decided we would pull our advertising.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
Do you anticipate this is forever?
I haven't readdressed it since the decision was made.
But go yourself.
After Elon made those statements, you saw a surge in Disney Plus cancellations and Hulu cancellations. A lot of people deciding, you know what, we're done with Disney too.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear?
Crystal.
I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Did you find it a good advertising platform?
We've reached people on a lot of social media platforms. It's become in general, social media has become an effective way for us to communicate, whether it's marketing message or otherwise. Specifically, I don't want to be specific about X itself.
It broke my heart.
Oh, this is interesting. This is pointing out the clear hypocrisy of Disney. Because right now, as you can see from the CNBC article, Facebook and Instagram content enabled child abuse and trafficking, according to a New Mexico lawsuit. Elon says, hey, why no advertiser boycott Bob Iger? Why aren't you taking action against those social media companies? That's weird, almost like you support that.
Can I just come back to one thing regarding Governor DeSantis in Florida? The position that we took with Governor DeSantis in Florida was simply this. The company, while I was gone...
You need to quit lying.
I know.
Yeah, my man.
Decided to take a position against the Don't Say Gay bill that was moving through the Florida legislature.
We have newspaper people on the payroll, don't we?
Yes, sir.
All of this ridiculous propaganda about Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill is just that. It is propaganda. SB 1557, that's the bill. It's only 7 pages long. You can look it up and read it. I encourage you to do so. You'll find that the word gay isn't even mentioned in the entirety of the bill. Also, it is a bill that focuses exclusively on kindergartners through 3rd graders and simply prohibits a teacher of that age group from holding classroom discussions about sexuality and so-called gender identity. It also requires schools to share important information about a child, especially about that child's health or well-being, with the parent. Ask yourself, what kind of person would be against a bill like that?
Bob Iger, everybody. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much.
The happiest place on earth?
No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no.
Is that clear?
Crystal.